going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Gamers Without Borders charity tournament to qualify the pro teams for Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We're going to go over and talk about some of the teams that did really well and we're looking forward to seeing for the Spring Open, and we'll be looking at that because that starts tomorrow. But right now we're going to be talking about the North American and European Gamers Without Borders tournament while we play some 1v1. Alright guys, so the North American bracket for the Gamers Without Borders tournament was a lot of teams that we expected to make it through their top part of their brackets and stuff made it, but there were some that surprised people near the end, like Koi making the grand finals. But I'm sure a lot of people who keep up with the pro scene were keeping an eye on V1, which they went on to win the whole thing, and everybody's keeping an eye on them with their acquiring of Daniel and Koi with their team that's been pushing through. They ran through the lower bracket and made it to their grand finals. They ran through the lower bracket against Complexity, Team Axel, and On Optic, and Complexity and Optic played first round. My prediction for the Spring Open, for what we've seen so far, I would expect V1 to make a pretty deep run in the Open. We haven't seen a lot of teams play. SSG has their new player Hoxer, which they didn't look too bad. They played against Team Axel and G2. They beat Team Axel, they lost to G2, and then they played Optic, which they lost 3-1. So they could be, from what I've seen, they're still a pretty decent team. Would love to see more out of them, see if they can make a deep run, but from what we've seen during the Gamers Without Borders tournament, V1 was looking amazing, and I would expect them to go deep run within Saudi as well. Yeah, I would say for right now, V1's looking like probably one of the strongest teams in A right now. We'll see how that looks during the Spring Open, which starts tomorrow for North America. But yeah, North America, at least my top pick for North American team is looking like V1. They're looking like definitely the strongest team out there right now. And Europe just finished today with their qualifiers with the debut of Zen for his first tourney back after his ban, which he played amazingly. They beat the Monkeys in the grand finals 4-1 in a Game 7 series. And with the EU bracket, I'm not too sure about EU, as this was my first time watching them this split. But Oxygen had a rough time because they had a sub in today at least for the finals or for the semis, and uh and let me see real quick. Should pull up the bracket real quick. So Oxygen played sub for their first match. They won 3-1, and then they won 3-1 against the German Amigos. And then German Amigos lost to the Monkeys, and then Monkeys made the lower bracket run after playing G1. They lost, and then they went on a lower bracket run to the grand finals, which Razier's looking like an amazing player. Everybody speaks pretty highly on Razier's from what I've heard. And they ended up making it to the grand finals, but they did lose. And their team was looking very well rounded. Brazier's looking like a commanding player on the field for his team. Zen and Alpha 54 definitely played out of their minds today with their series for the grand finals. And I will say that Monkeys does look like a team that people need to watch out for. We all know that Vitality is a team that needs to be looked out for. They have amazing talent on their team, and time will only tell how good that team turns out being. I can't wait to see them play against K-Corp to see if there's a new #1 player in Europe, in Zen. Yeah, that'll be a very interesting thing to see if we get to see Vitality play against K-Corp, which I would definitely say we would, looking at the skill of Vitality from this tournament. The teams that qualified for Saudi for NA is Koi, Optic, G2, V1. And of course they have invited teams that didn't have to play in the qualifier. And for EU's qualifying teams, it was the Monkeys, Vitality, it's Monkeys, Vitality, Oxygen, and SA. Which SA, again, they made a lower bracket run to the lower bracket semis, which is good for them. That's a team that didn't look crazy throughout this tournament, but they played really, really well for who they were playing against. That tournament, there's definitely a lot of teams that people thought would have qualified over some of these other teams. People really thinking, you know, G1 and BDS. They were BDS lost their game against the German Amigos and against SA, which people had them really highly rated for qualifying for Saudi, which they didn't. So it's cool to see some of these, you know, less heard of teams competing and beating a lot of these bigger orgs. And for NA, I don't know if there was any smaller ones that beat the bigger orgs. I'll pull up the bracket real quick. For that, Koi was one of the big ones that beat a lot of the top rated teams like Complexity, Optic, G2, but they did get swept in the finals by V1, which V1 swept G2, Koi, and went to game 5 with Complexity, which V1 is looking commanding with their on-field presence with Daniel Beast Mode and Calm. But yeah, next video we'll be talking about the Spring Open, which starts tomorrow. I'll give you guys my predictions for the Spring Open. I'll show you guys the bracket and stuff, and we'll see how that game or how that series for that goes. A lot of teams on there that I am expecting to do really well, but let's just finish this game off and we'll end it there. That was a crazy save right there. See if we can get a little dribble play on here. Got a nice demo. He destroyed me getting to that ball. Dusted me. Nice shot. Oh, never mind. I'll put that off the wall there. Start a dribble. Go for the 50. Oh, I turned a little too late on that. I will say for Zen's debut, he was looking mighty good, especially with the way the tournament was set up. It was 3v3, 2v2, and 1v1, which him and Alpha in the 2v2 was looking amazing, and him in 1v1 was just nasty. We'll put some clips in here if I can get a hold of any of the good clips from him. We'll also get some of Razier's, the top players that were, you know, most people were looking forward to seeing play. And we'll throw those in here at the end. And so for now, guys, that's going to be the end of this one. We'll throw up some clips from the Gamers Without Borders tournament. We'll show some highlights from that, and we'll see how the Spring Opens go. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks for checking it out, and have a good one.